Hello, everybody. It's Wynn from University Underdogs, and this is going to be the Week 1 recap for the 2025-26 college football season. Overall, we're almost done with the week. We have one more game tonight between TCU and North Carolina. I'll be going over all the FBS football games from Week 1, starting right now, starting off with Boise State versus South Florida. Like I said, Byron Brown might be a Heisman candidate this year coming from the FCS. Defeating Boise State. My takeaway from this game is that nobody really realized how big Ashton Jeanty carried Boise State last year. It's either that or they just lost a couple of guys, but I really do think Ashton Jeanty leaving could be the worst thing for this Boise State team to ever happen. So South Florida wins 34-7 in that one. Next up is Rutgers hosting Ohio. Rutgers had a huge scare, allowing 31 points. The defense needs a lot of work this week, but they're still able to pull off the win. A win's a win, I guess. But, got to fix up the defense for Rutgers. Next game, Bowling Green versus Lafayette. Bowling Green picked up the win 26-7. And Bowling Green making headlines around the nation right now for their locker room cat. His name's Pudge, and you gotta love Pudge. Pudge is awesome. But yeah, they're getting global recognition for that. It is great. I'd say it started with Phineas Hogan, great content creator coming from Bowling Green's football team, and then of course Pudge's dad, George Carlson, the long snapper. Gotta love my guy, special teams. And moving on, they won 26-7. It's a great win for Bowling Green. Next game, NC State hosting East Carolina. NC State able to pick up the win in this one. Didn't really watch the game, but I do know that East Carolina is a good team. NC State was able to pick up the big win against them. Number two. Not number two. The next game, UCF hosting Jacksonville State. UCF gets the win in this one by 7. Gavin Wimsatt, a huge bright spot for the Jacksonville State offense. Almost picking off the upset against UCF, but just unable to do it. UCF gets the win in this one. Delaware beating Delaware State for their first FBS win. Huge win for Delaware, winning 35-17. UL Monroe beating St. Francis 29-0. St. Francis going to D3 next season. That's not the greatest way you want to start your last Division I season. Next up, Wyoming versus Akron, 10-0. Wyoming wins this one. The game I've been waiting for. It was awesome. Akron, ineligible for playoff contention. And then you have, of course, Wyoming. Why wouldn't it be fun? Next up, Central Arkansas at Missouri. Missouri blew them out in this one, 61-6. Not a lot of words to be said there. Same for the next one. Duke hosting Elon, winning 45-17. Another blowout. I'm not sure if you want to call this one a blowout, but UT Martin at Oklahoma State. Oklahoma State takes this one by 20. I wouldn't say it's a blowout in my opinion, but, UT Martin, one of the best FCS teams, may I say. So I think they need some work, especially against a pretty mid-tier FBS school in Oklahoma State. Next up, Buffalo at Minnesota. Minnesota takes this one by 13. I thought Minnesota was going to win by a lot more than they actually did. But, yeah, they got the win. That's all that matters. A win's a win. Buffalo, great team in the MAC, so I'm excited to see what they do this year. Next up, Houston hosting SFA, SF Austin, Stephen F. Austin, winning 27-0, blanks SF Austin, and not much to be said there. UAB hosting Alabama State. UAB takes this one 52-42. That was a very close game for UAB, allowing 42 points in FCS school. That is not what you want to see. Nebraska versus Cincinnati. I can't really say hosting because the game was played at Arrowhead. And, a bunch of people there, global recognition for Nebraska and Cincinnati. Nebraska takes this one by 3. I thought this was one of the better games of Week 1. But, that's just my opinion. Miami, Ohio versus Wisconsin. Wisconsin beats them by 17 in a blank shutout for Wisconsin. Next game, finishing off the Thursday slate. Stony Brook at San Diego State. This one's geographically weird. Stony Brook, of course, on Long Island, and San Diego State on the other side of the continental U.S., but, doesn't really make sense, especially flying out to San Diego to get blown out by 42. San Diego State takes this one 42-0. Starting off Friday, America has been saved by Tarleton State. I'm not happy for this one. I support Army pretty well, but it's always great to see an FCS over FBS upset in Tarleton State versus Army. Tarleton State takes this one in 2 overtimes, matter of fact, 30-27. Next up, another blowout from Illinois. Western Illinois only scoring 3, Illinois scoring 52. That was a big blowout. Illinois, Luke Altmaier, they could be very good this year. Western Michigan at Michigan State. Michigan State wins 23-6. This is one of the games I also didn't watch, so don't have much to say on that. Wake Forest barely beating out Kennesaw State with a 9-10 victory. This was one of the more funny games, I'd say. Kennesaw State. Both of these teams are not going to be good this season, I'll tell you that. Next up, App State versus Charlotte. App State gets the win in this one, 34-11. Next up, Wagner at Kansas. Kansas gets the big win here, win another blowout, 46-7. Next up, another very good game. Auburn versus Baylor. Auburn gets this one by 2 touchdowns. Not 2, well, yes, but you know what I mean. 38-24. I think this is definitely top 10 in week 1, but the next game, definitely top 5. Georgia Tech beats Colorado in Boulder, 27-20. Big win for Georgia Tech. Like I said, they're a very underrated team. I do think they'll be top 25 by around week 5. Next up, Bethune-Cookman at FIU. FIU pulls off the blowout against Bethune-Cookman, may I say. Gosh, 42-9. Next up, UNLV at Sam Houston. UNLV goes 2-0, beating them by 17. Gosh, by 17. And then UNLV. They haven't had a great season, as you may know. They're 2-0, but they haven't been playing like a 2-0 team. Especially they almost lost to an FCS school. Next up, Central Michigan versus San Jose State. Central Michigan able to pull off the 2-point win in San Jose. That rounds up the Friday slate, might I say. And now it is Saturday. Big day yesterday. Starting off, Fordham versus Boston College. Boston College wins by 56. Then Portland State versus BYU. BYU won by almost 70, scoring 69 points, while Portland State scored 0. BYU, also another underrated team in the country. Bear Bachmeier is a great quarterback. He could do really well. Fun fact for Bear Bachmeier, he's one of the only quarterbacks in the nation with any number above 20. That's a fun fact need to say out there. Best game of the week. Well, now depends on how you take it. But Texas at Ohio State. Ohio State pulls off the 7-point win in this one. Arch Manning played horrible in this one. Next up, Nevada at Penn State. Penn State able to pull off the big win here. 46-11. Penn State, big bright spot. And then, in my opinion, best game of the week. LSU at Clemson. LSU, I wouldn't say pulls off the upset, but they do go into Death Valley. Both Death Valley schools played. But go into Death Valley and pull off the win. So now we know who the real Death Valley is, and it is LSU. Next up, Marshall at number 5, Georgia. Georgia takes this one in a blowout, 45-7. Then another blowout, Montana State, 13-59. Then Alabama at Florida State. Florida State pulling off the upset, 31-17. And of course, going 2-10 last year. Beating Alabama is a huge bright spot for Florida State. Next up, Northern Arizona at Arizona State. Arizona State takes this one 38-19. Next up, New Mexico at Michigan. Michigan takes this one 34-17. I don't think it was that competitive for New Mexico. They could have probably given up a better fight in this one, but no, that's the way games go out. Long Island University at Florida. Florida won 55-0. Absolute blowout. Not much to say there. East Texas A&M, ETAMU at SMU. SMU blows them out 42-13. Next up, North Dakota at Kansas State. North Dakota, almost another FCS over FBS upset, but Kansas State is able to pull off the win in this one, 38-35. Next up, Illinois State at Oklahoma. Oklahoma won this one 35-3. Once again, another blowout, not much to say. UTSA at Texas A&M. Texas A&M, another blowout. The SEC schools, except for Alabama, of course, snapping blowouts like that. Next up, Old Dominion at Indiana. Old Dominion played a pretty good game today. I think all of their touchdowns were over 50 yards, but they was not able to pull off the win against Indiana. Georgia State at Ole Miss. Ole Miss blew them out. Once again, another blowout. South Dakota at Iowa State, 55-7, and another one. Arkansas Pine Bluff at Texas Tech. Texas Tech wins this one, 67-7. Next up, Syracuse at Tennessee. It's really the Mercedes-Benz Stadium. Aflac kickoff. Tennessee takes this one, 45-26. Mississippi State going into Hattiesburg, pulling off the 34-17 win on an away game. Florida Atlantic goes down to Maryland, and they get crushed, I'd say, 39-7. Once again, another blowout for Purdue in this one against Ball State, 31-0. And Tulane, man. Tulane, I have them making the college football playoffs. They're able to pull off the 20-point win against the Big Ten school. Jake Retzlaff, a great quarterback, of course, transferred to BYU. And another blowout here. Duquesne at Pitt. Pitt scored 61, Duquesne 9. Another blowout in this one. VM High at Navy, battle of the military schools. Navy comes out on top, 52-7. Take a little break. So University Underdogs is doing the University Underdogs Adventures. We will be going to 5 college football games this season. We'll be posting vlogs on all the videos on the YouTube, so stay tuned for that. We're going to be starting off at Army, then moving into Rutgers, then Boston College. Then, if I could remember off the top of my head, then we're going to UConn for UConn versus Duke. I'm excited for that one. And then we're watching Yale versus Harvard. That one's going to be great. All right, going back to the week one games. We have Mary Mack at Kent State. Mary Mack played really great today, but Kent State able to pull off the win. Kent State, of course, was horrible last year, so I'm shocked that they won their first game of the season. Toledo at Kentucky. Toledo loses by 8 to Kentucky, 24-16. Robert Morris goes into West Virginia, loses, get crushed by West Virginia, 45-3. Central Connecticut goes into West Hartford, but they get crushed 59-13. There's just a bunch of blowouts this week. We don't really have another one until a little bit later in the video. Eastern Kentucky going into Louisville, 51-17. I bet you know who won that game. Louisville gets the win in that one. Bucknell versus Air Force. Air Force wins 49-13. Temple versus UMass. Temple, for some reason, playing at UMass. Don't know really why. But they're, of course, going to get another blowout by winning by 32, 42-10. Finally, not a blowout. Holy Cross losing to Northern Illinois only by 2. So we could have had another FCS over FBS upset right there. Maine versus Liberty. Maine going to Liberty, hopefully winning that game. Nope. They get crushed 28-7. Then Alabama A&M versus Arkansas. Arkansas absolutely demolishes Alabama A&M by a score of 52-7. Then Chattanooga versus Memphis. Memphis wins by 35 in this one. Albany versus Iowa. Iowa wins 34-7. Virginia versus Coastal Carolina. Virginia gets this one 48-7. Gosh, I'm saying this way too fast. Gosh. All right. Weber State at James Madison. James Madison pulls off the win by 35 in this one. Charleston Southern at Vanderbilt. Vanderbilt gets the big win in this one, winning by 42 by a final score of 45-3. Austin Peay, another FCS over FBS win. Austin Peay wins by 20 in this one. Middle Tennessee State's a horrible team, so it's not as impressive as the Army one, but still very impressive that for any FCS over FBS upset. Next up, North Alabama versus Western Kentucky. Western Kentucky blows them out in this one by 49, 55-6. Southeast Missouri, Arkansas State. Arkansas State wins this one by 42-24. They didn't win by 42, may I say. Morgan State at South Alabama. South Alabama won this one 38-21. Nicholls State at Troy. Troy wins this one by 18. Missouri State versus USC. Missouri State's first game in FBS. I bet you could guess how this one went. Missouri State got blown out, may I say, by 60. All right, next up, Southeast Louisiana versus Louisiana Tech. Louisiana Tech blanks out Southeast Louisiana 24-0. UTEP versus Utah State. Utah State gets the win in this one, 28-16. Rice at Louisiana. Rice is able to pull off the 2-point win, 14-12. Eastern Michigan able to pull off. Why? I'm messing these up here. Eastern Michigan at Texas State. Texas State pulls off the win in this one, 52-27. North Texas beats Lamar 51-0. Tulsa beats Abilene Christian 35-7. New Mexico State beats Bryant 19-3. Goodness gracious. All right. Next one, Fresno State beats Georgia Southern 42-14. Idaho beats Idaho State gives up a close game to Washington State, ends up losing by 3 by a score of 10-13. California going into enemy territory in Corvallis, Oregon, able to pull off the 34-15 win against Oregon State. Arizona blows out Hawaii by a score of 40-6. And then Utah at UCLA. Utah with the absolute blowout, very unexpected, with a 43-10 win in this one. Colorado State versus Washington. Of course, Washington is able to pull off the win in this one. Then yesterday on Sunday, Notre Dame versus Miami. Miami is able to pick up the 3-point win against the reigning runner-ups in Notre Dame. And then South Carolina beats Virginia Tech by a score of 24-11. My Heisman pick, Norris Sellers. He played well in that one, I'd say. Not really a Heisman game, but he definitely played very well in that game. Tonight, Monday night football, I guess you want to say that. TCU at North Carolina. Great game. That's going to be a very interesting game. Not sure how that one's going to really play out. It could really go both ways. North Carolina is a very good team, but TCU might be the better one. I don't know in this one. But here, let me search this up. I saw on Instagram today that NAIA, I think it was Weber State, just beat FCS Stetson, which I'm not even sure when the last time that happened. NAIA school defeating a Division I school. But, that's great for Weber State. Stetson, man. Y'all are good at everything else. Why can't you be good at football? I don't know. But, great week 1 of college football. And, since this one was great, I'm excited to see the other weeks. We have 15 weeks this season. And, it just makes me happy that college football is back and all. But, we have a bunch more weeks to do this. I'll be making videos like this for every week. So, with that being said, it was fun. Win Gaber, out.